Brendan Hauser with EVOQ Bike. So I want to talk about Tour North Georgia Masters race. And I know before people were like, oh, Masters racing. I think that this was just as tough as the P12 race. I saw Jimmy Sherman, who won the road race. He said, hey, congrats on your win, man. I said, congrats, you won the big field. He said, I don't know, man. They're both hitting hard. And so what I want to do in this video is talk about the training I did before this, coming back from building up fitness again, but also just a couple things that really stuck out from the 2 road races and also the time trial and then the crit. And I'm going to try and make this 20 minutes or less, but I think there's things, I don't want this just to be, hey, I did this watts for this, but why is this? What do we do to achieve success in these races as amateur bike racers? And here's another thing. I know our channel, we're getting people who are looking for just interviews with pros or who are looking for just science videos, or this is one bike racer's opinion on what I've done to get to where I'm at to help my team, and take it for that. Some of you will like this type of video, some of you won't. And just if this isn't for you, then maybe come back for something else. So those of you who have been following me on Strava know I've been coming back from this back injury. It's like a back, hip, the multifidi, the QL, blah, blah, blah. Coming back and building fitness. I haven't raced since April in, let's pull up my calendar here. The race was on April 7th. And so the biggest things I want to run through what I did was really getting back into some over-unders here. And I find these to be really beneficial. I just feel that the ability to ride over threshold, still go kind of hard, and then hit it again is really helpful in almost any type of racing. And then, let's make this a little smaller. That's as small as we go. I did go on a cruise, which was obviously somewhat of a fitness loss, but do family things, and that's all good. And then came back in May saying, okay, I'm really coming back, building up, got to do the VO2 max training, start to hit some hard start over-unders. And then I did another session on Sunday, I believe because it was going to be raining. Yeah, it was starting to rain early in that week. I was still having some pain in my hip, and this was May 7th. Unfortunately, and this thing dances around. I didn't have any pain during the time trial, but towards the end of the first road race, I did. It's just comes and goes, but the trajectory is getting better. And while I'm here, shout out to SoCal Bike PT. My PT Scout has been massive help in getting me back to where I'm at now. Everything's online, really beneficial. And also to Aries PT in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They have a few other locations that we're doing my dry needling. I knew these guys were good because I've had dry needling done before, but you really know how good they are when you come somewhere else, and I haven't been able to find people that dry needle like Aries PT. So, Dr. Bill, thank you, man. I was feeling good and finally got my 20-minute up over 400 again. I've been really struggling to do that as I was making a comeback, and it's one of those things where I had to make sure I wasn't trying to chase a 20-minute number, but focus on my training. And I said, do my VO2 max, do my over-unders, do my long rides, get my strength training in. Those are my core ingredients to feel good. I think I've got 425 in me. I might make a VO2 max interval on this. I did some like a medley, and no, this was the medley. Yeah. That's a whole other video in itself. Back to the over-unders. Did some tempo climbing on Sunday, and then coming to Tonga. So goals for the race. Have a pain-free race. Craig is going up for the Masters Cup. Maybe he didn't want me to put that in a video. But I might go to Dairylands to help him with that. We'd love to win a stage. Tour of North Georgia is one of the best races in the Southeast. Always really well attended. Masters, Omniums get 30 plus people. The P1, there were a lot of other races going on that weekend, so there were a few less hitters than there had been before. I think we're always going to look back at Tonga right after COVID. That's when people from all over the country were coming, and it was one of, I would say, the biggest races of the year for an amateur cyclist. And then, hey, let's think big. Maybe we could win GC. There's going to be hitters. Mark Tucker, Andrew Knight, Craig and I think, are both in the mix. There's another guy, I think, from Colorado. I saw Will Eustace's name when we got there. He's super strong. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few other people. Owen Schott, he didn't do the full Omnium. Obviously, mega hitter. And who else is in there? Sorry, guys. It's early. Needed another cup of coffee. First road race, I was loving having teammates again. I've been racing solo a lot and had been able to do a few races with Landry, but never really like full team squatting. And just the attacking, counter-attacking, being able to not have to follow every move and to be more strategic was super fun. And I think it might have been harder than P1. Here's where I'll say we were just as hard. The Masters 40 Plus set the 3 fastest TT times, raw times, and 2 of us were on road bikes. So I don't know. Okay, here's what I want to talk about for the Habersham Hills. And I think it's very easy to get caught up. I wish I could see how long this is recorded so I can make chapters for people. When people talk about watts per kg or they do their intervals, I think we forget that it's not always how hard you go, but when you go that hard. And what I mean by that is don't just focus on looking at other athletes, KOM times in power, saying, hey, there's this 3.5 minute climb coming up on this road race. You know, so-and-so's doing whatever watts. Someone's interval watts and race watts, you definitely can set a PR in a race. But if that's going to be the winning move, probably not, because unless they're just that much stronger than us. Here's where if you went out and did a 3.5 minute max, when you are done with that effort, you're dead, right? Like you stop pedaling. You would get dropped in a race because people are going to keep going. When we look at Habersham Hills, and this was the race on Friday, here is... Did I not chop these all out? Oh, you know what I did? All right, I was going to make these into little clips to overlay, and so I apologize. I'm not super prepared. Here's the hill where we went mayhem. This... People don't always do this type of interval. These super hard starts. I mean, this... Man, WKO. You gotta be killing me, Smalls. That's a 2 minute at 600. Okay? I'm 181 pounds. So what is that? 82 kgs. You can do the watts per kg. But then it's also... The next 4.5 minutes are just under threshold. Was my heart rate working that day? Heart rate pegged. I think those intervals are really beneficial. And I usually program them out for athletes as 9 minutes and say, just go freaking hard for 45 seconds and then, settle into still really hard and then surge again and go really hard. You can get so much stimulus from the heart rate side of things. You don't even need to worry about power. But here's the other thing. If you were just looking around at watts per kg, it's like, oh, well, that's not that crazy. He did 514 for 3.5 minutes. But that was midway in the race after going over the KOM climb right before doing 443 for 2 minutes. And then you come down the hill and you go do a spike at 15 seconds at 560, settle in, and then go smash it. So what is that effort? Like, you can't always make intervals for a race. You don't know how hard people are going to go here. You don't know you have to chase somebody. Go race, right? Racing is going to make you better at racing, but also have some rides where you're just hitting climbs hard and riding out of your skin. I think that is important. And I try to have some either free rides or the intervals that I'm telling people. Some people don't do well without structure. So figure out a way to structure it that it is kind of unstructured, right? I have a few athletes, not a ton, that I just give go fast rides. They do better when I'm like, go really fast for this 20 minutes. And they go berserk. When there's a power target, they don't hit it as hard. It's very interesting. You just got to know the athletes. Okay. Kind of talk about teammates. this one, I can't remember where this was from. Okay, that is that one. Okay, good. Let's move on to Rock Hill. I don't want to make this video too long. Practice your finishing move. Sorry, it's not Rock Hill. It's Rock Church. Rock Baptist Church. I have the name. I'm butchering this name. Second road race of Tour of North Georgia 2024. Practice conserving your watts in a bike race. We all know that everybody says you got to be able to go hard at the end of a race. But do we actually think about that in a race? And do we actually think about that in training? I do have athletes that, especially those who are doing these races, my finishing move was at 3,000 kJs, okay? I warmed up for almost an hour. I like a long warm-up, 40 minutes, easy zone 2, burn 500 kJs. I do long rides. Having the ability to do a really hard finishing move at 3 hours is why base training is a thing. Without having a big base, your VO2 max intervals, your anaerobic capacity intervals, whatever type of high intensity you need to be doing, you will not be able to do them as hard later in your training sessions than if you have a big base. The big base is just a general fitness that's going to allow you to go hard later in the day. And then as you train that, you're going to go harder on race day than you would have in the previous sessions. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I made that video, Why Ride Endurance, or WTH, what the hell is base miles? All of that easy zone 2, zone 3 work is going to allow you to have the zone 5 and 6 hammer later in the day. Quick little story. Road race, finishing move, 3 minutes at 550 watt normalized power. Last 3 minutes. Let's zoom in on this so you can see. I mean, we're talking going bonkers. This is at 3.5 hours of the day, right? And the reason there's this dip, you can see here, the elevation doesn't show well on this one for some reason. This is really more downhillish than this lends itself, or at least it feels it in the race. Two guys, so I'm actually going for 5th in this. Craig got up the road, which is what we wanted for this road race. I won the road race the day before, so we want to try and get him the win today. Eventually, smart move by John Hart from Tennessee, races on a North Carolina team, and Will Eustace from Georgia. They both probably figured they weren't going to... This is a good finishing climb for me. I was confident that I could win from the group. I wasn't really pushing hard, and my hips were freaking not happy. And it's weird. It's like when I'm going easier is when there's more pain sometimes because there's less tension in my body. I'll make another video on that. Eventually, those two guys get up the road to the point where we're hitting this last, 5 minutes of the race. And I was thinking the only way that I can get up to them is if I go bottom to top. I wanted to just wait and just crush this last portion. I didn't think any of those guys could take me. But Will and John were still away. So I blast this to try and get away from Andrew Knight. And I'm trying to remember the other guys that were with us. And then I caught Will Eustace right around here, surged past him, tried to recover, and John Hart was right around here. Got up to John and then just hit the gas full throttle and didn't look back and secured 5th place. And that felt really good because season-wise, that was almost a season PR. And in the last 90 days, this is off. I have some bad data. This is a very questionable ride that my ego will not delete it. So usually I compare versus the past 3 years. Let's actually do that. Yeah, not bad. 50 watts off, 3 hours in. That was back in 2021. I will take it. I'm super stoked about that. The training's been working. Big aerobic effort, even though very hard. And here's the thing. The whole reason I say this, the last 25 minutes, we normalized 388. Smash, smash, smash. These are the types of efforts that you do want to have in your training. Intensity factor of 0.97 at hour 3. So one thing that I do give to athletes is like 40-20s into threshold, 40-20s into varying amounts of threshold. I think a very underrated, very simple, but very underrated aspect of training is go full, go hard, and then hang on. If you can hang on by yourself, when you have other people around you that are carrots, you're going to hang on even longer. Okay. did I show? Oh, that was the last 25 minutes. I guess the last 11 minutes was pretty nutty too. Yeah, normalized 4:45 for the last 11 minutes. So anyways, Masters racing, not that easy, right? Okay, the time trial. Time trial, what is a time trial always? Pacing and threshold riding. Ride hard on the hills. Don't ride so hard that you cannot pedal afterwards. And really, we'll breeze through this one very quickly. But I just want to show you, this was the TT. I lost to Andrew, who's super aero, and he is stronger than me in these efforts. I think he probably did close to 5.5 watts per kg for 15 minutes. He beat me by about 45 seconds out. I did the math too. He took about 45 seconds from me both ways. It was almost equidistant, which I'm looking down here. Is that right? 25, 35. No, it might have been 35. No, sorry. He took more from me on the way out when it was more downhill. More aero, TT bike. I'm on a road bike. And I struggle to stay low. I felt good though. No qualms. I'm really happy with how I felt in this effort. I think because it was a fresh effort. I think the biggest thing to point out here is look at how much time is above threshold. My threshold is probably around 400. This has me at 390. I think it's not right. And maybe that's part ego, but I've been doing a lot of rides that would say otherwise. I think being very anaerobic at times, the MFTP is not always dead on, but I could be wrong. And then here I think is a good thing to point out that I really tried to hit it on the climbs without gassing myself too much. So maybe I could have gone a little harder on the downhill. I need to get this so this is more transparent. I'll work on that. But here's the key. Hit it hard on the uphill. And then you can see again, this is all climbing out of the turnaround. Gas it, get it up to speed. And then I'm proud of this finish. I finished strong. And, kudos to Mark Tucker. That guy's super aero. I was really happy with third place. I really kind of want a TT bike. I'm not in the situation to do that, though. I just don't ride them enough, and it doesn't excite me a ton. Maybe someday. I don't know. Really, all my thoughts right now are on I might get a new road bike, and I think I might get out of gravel. I'm really just loving the road lately. So maybe I would buy a TT bike. It's just hard to ride one around here in Blowing Rock. So last 4 minutes, 4:65. So that's really the zoomed in image is that. And I'm proud of that. Maybe I remember actually thinking, don't blow up. You need to go hard on this. This is steeper in person. And so maybe I should have stepped on the gas a little bit more there, but really happy with the pacing. Okay. Last part, crit. So we were down 10 points in the GC after I came in third. Craig had a not so great time trial. And we were thinking, okay, everyone's going to be looking at me because I'm in the Southeast. People know me here. They don't know Craig as much. They don't know that he's a killer. They do now. And I said, dude, if you win the race and get away from Mark and win all 3 bonus sprints and get 15 bonus points, you can win. And so we decided the night before that's going to be our move. And so true to it, I started hitting it early and just no one, people were all over my wheel, and it's early in the race. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm this great thing, but I'm second in GC. Mark's not going to let me get away. The moment happened, Craig got away with Andrew Knight, and I said, oh, dude, Craig's going to take Andrew in the sprints. So finally, Andrew, and I got to give a shout out to Mark Tucker. We are on the line getting ready to start, and they're telling us that there's 2 sprints. And I said, hold on, no, check the thing. There's 3 sprints. And they said, no, there's one in the beginning and one at the end. I said, no, it says 3. And who raises their hand and says, hey, guys, it does say 3, is Mark Tucker. He's the guy in first place putting himself, if there's only 2 sprints, now that screws our whole plan. Now I have to be the one to win to be able to beat Mark. I mean, dude, super classy move. Kudos. It just, this was the first time I think that we've got to race, or at least the first time that we got to talk a lot during the weekend. Seems like a really great guy. Yeah, Mark, kudos for that. I really appreciated that honesty. And So When Andrew gets up the road with Craig, Craig's like, yo, dude, my GC guy's back there. This is the great thing about having teammates. Either of us can take the win possibly. So Andrew decides to lap the field basically solo. Craig is not helping him. Andrew, you're a freaking beast, dude. That's crazy. And here's the thing about a crit. We were hitting it on the hill and then kind of recovering. Hitting on the hill, maybe going fast downhill. It is faster to push it on that uphill, kind of like a time trial, and then just keep motoring. I guarantee you, Andrew's just taking 3 seconds every lap and finally caught us. Well, what happened when that happened, there was a guy, Anthony Akers, in between our group and Andrew and Craig. Technically, Anthony becomes the lead rider on the road. He, on the last preem, then took the 5 points. Now, personally, maybe this is the rules. That just seems stupid to me. Craig and Andrew should still be going for 5 points. However, Craig still got 1 point. When it all finished, we thought Craig won by 1 point, and it came out that he came in third. They didn't have the entire printout out, and we're like, well, okay, whatever. There's no money in this Masters race, so it's all for, pride. And, hey, we won 2 stages. We got third on a stage. Third and fourth overall, we'll take it. We realized they gave Andrew, and hold on, before I say this, we did not win Tonga. Part of our job as athletes is we should have checked the score better. Andrew's the winner. Craig came in third. I came in fourth. The protest period is long over, obviously. But it's nice to know we actually did win by 1 point. They gave Andrew a first and a third for the bonus points when actually Craig got him both times. He should have had 2 seconds. So Craig has the 12 bonus points because he got 11 on, this actually means Sunday, and 1 during one of the road races. Mark Tucker's are correct. So it was really Craig should have had 4 more for 138, and Andrew would have had 2 less for 137. So it was 138 to 137 to 136. Can you get any closer than that? Yeah. And it's funny. They still have me down as Nashville, Tennessee. Yo, Top View, change my city. I'm Blowing Rock, baby. Let's go. So with the crit, count your points. That's the thing. And if you're ever chasing, just keep chasing. Ride it like a time trial. If you're trying to lap the field. And yeah, that was a super hard race. What were the actual, real quick before we go, because I know people ask me this all the time. Sunday. Let's get just the race in here. 392 normalized for 45 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty spicy. Let's see. 4, 5, 6.5 minutes at FRC, which is like 580 watts or 609 watts or higher. Masters racing, not that easy. Yo, everybody that was there, shout out to everybody. I've got to meet some people that have listened to the podcast before. That was super cool. Landry's athlete, a couple other athletes, and shout out to our athletes that were there. Everybody, good luck with your training and racing. We do have a blog. Some people don't realize that. That's how EVOQ Bike started. EVOQ your best self. Picture where you want to go. Start envisioning that. Put your plan together and follow. And now you're going to hear us coming out with, we've worked the last 3 months. We have put in a ton of time. Some people are going to laugh, the OGs, into training plans, because I understand some of you can invest the financial side from the financial side into your training, and we want to try and help you out. And I've hated training plans, and they take so much work, and we sell them for like $20. It does not move the needle, but we had a coach's call where we were talking about, hey, how can we help more athletes that we don't coach besides doing, this is the totally free content, but some people that want skin in the game. I believe these are some of the best plans out there. We have put 2 to 3 coaches looking, double checking these plans, talking about it. Why would we do this workout versus that workout? And I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but I do want you to have faith that if you get a training plan for $20, it's going to help you on your way. And you'll see links for that. We're going to do we're filling out the rest of them. We did low volume, mid volume, high volume. It definitely is not as good as a coach, But if you are brand new and don't know what you're doing, I promise you, like a threshold increase, threshold builder training plan, I'm like stumbling over my words, is not going to be a few sweet spot workouts a week in endurance. It's going to actually move the needle. So with all that, good luck with your training and racing. Let's go.